And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's President's Day. Welcome. This is the Neurodiversity Media Network. And today we are doing personal evolution with the lovely Biba Atta. Today, we are talking about money, y'all. We are talking about personal affirmations for money, which is a big thing. We've talked a lot over the previous two episodes about the importance of belief and how if you don't believe it, it's pretty worthless as an affirmation. And nowhere is that more true than with money. So today I want to unpack creating affirmations around money that allow you to not presently have money while supporting the idea of money in the future, and how to hold both of those things to be true at the same time.
Love it. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon where I am. So, hello.
Fine. East Coast, whatever. Good afternoon. Fine.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you, Briar, for hosting me yet again. We've had some pretty amazing conversations. So, yes, today we will be talking about affirmations and money. That's going to be fun.
So, when it comes to affirmations and beliefs, let's talk first about framing, right? How do you start at the beginning with an affirmation that's going to allow you to hold space for the possibility of more?
Ooh, you and these questions are always stumping me. How do you hold space for affirmations for the possibility of more? How you frame an affirmation is pretty much like you said earlier when we were, just coming on, that it's important to say an affirmation that is actually true. If you are in a situation or you're at a particular place in life where what you want is more than what is actually true, then you have to say an affirmation or say affirmations that speak to your capacity, that speak to your ability, to speak to your deserving, to speak to your worthiness, and those kinds of things, because those are absolute. Those are absolute things. If you're speaking into some sort of affirmation that says I am a millionaire and you've got $47.35 in your bank account.
Hey, listen, I've had less than that at some points in time.
Listen, you and me both. In the negatives sometimes.
In the negatives. Woof,
the negatives.
Those are the days.
Right? We've come so far.
So far.
But if you're saying this, then what is true is a huge gap. There's a huge gap between what is true and then what it is that you desire. And that in and of itself is going to just make you you're not going to feel good about that. You're going to feel like it's far away. You're going to feel like it's unattainable. You're going to feel like it's a pipe dream. And those feelings are going to inform like that energy, your energy to go out there and make those things happen. So one of the things I say about beliefs in general is that they do two things. They direct your focus and they dictate your action. So based upon your beliefs are created from your own personal experiences, your conditioning, where you are and what culture you're a part of, and a number of other things over a long period of time, traumas, limiting beliefs, all that stuff. And that makes up the lens, that is the coloring of the lens that we look through. So if you are someone who doesn't believe that you're worthy of money, or doesn't believe that you have the capacity, or that you're a good steward of money and some of these other things, then you're going to miss out on a lot. You're not going to see things that are actually true. You're not going to be open to what is available to bring in more money for you. So you got to frame it with what is true. That's the start. There's a roundabout way to get to that, but
so beliefs are actions and what?
Focus.
Focus. Let's start with focus, since
Okay.
clearly I have none. What? Okay. A belief shapes your focus and your action. I like that a lot. And I think that it's the. Are you a Redditor?
No.
No, okay. There's this subreddit called Rest of the Fucking Owl. And it's usually like those tutorials that walk you through step 1, 2, and 3. And then you get to step 48 and it's the finish fucking thing, right? Like, where's the rest of the fucking owl is the gist of this subreddit. It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
This is a lot like that. When we talk about beliefs shaping focus and action, I can see kind of how we get there. And the steps along the way are murky sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So, how do my beliefs shape my focus?
Your beliefs shape your focus because you believe your beliefs to be true, whatever they are. Let's just say you believe that um, money is a very limited resource and it doesn't grow on trees or something like that.
Money
So
doesn't grow on trees.
money doesn't grow on trees.
How many of us have said that in our lives more than once?
More than
Probably a
once.
lot.
And heard it a lot,
Uh-huh.
which is probably one of the reasons why some of us believe it to be true. So money doesn't grow on trees. And anytime there is an overabundance of money, or when money is plentiful, or it is in your purview, in your purse, you got a shit ton of coupons, it's just whatever, you're not necessarily going to be able to see that. You're going to see where anything that makes that belief true to you. So, given that it doesn't grow on trees, you're going to more than likely see the times when you're a bit lean. You're not going to notice the times when you are flush, like an overabundance of money in your bank account. You'll remember that experience. Those ones are going to be the ones like, oh my gosh, money, I've never had a lot of money. Because your focus is it doesn't grow on trees, so you don't have it available. It's not something that it's not something that you have a lot of. But there are times when you have had an abundance of money. There are times when you've had a surplus of money. You've had more than what you needed. But again, if you have this belief, you're not necessarily going to be able to focus on those times. You focus on what makes that belief true to you.
We have talked about the inherent privilege in the law of right, the law of attraction and all of those assorted schools of thought. One of the places where that is most true is poverty.
Yes.
And I think that unless you have personally experienced poverty, it is just an idea. Unless you have actually been in those moments where you can't feed yourself, you can't feed your children, you don't know where the rent money is coming from, much less the money to pay for the gas to get to the job to get the rent money, right? Poverty it's a really horrible soul-sucking condition that I think people who have not personally experienced really do not grasp how all-encompassing it is, right? Because when you're poor, every single thought you have is about how you're poor and how you're going to just make it through the day, make it through the week, the month. There is no abundance in poverty. And where the irony deep as it is that the affirmations are probably most powerful here and also the hardest to believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do your beliefs shape your actions when it's like this?
Mm. Your beliefs shape your action. Let me see how to put it. If you have, let's just say, if you are in poverty and you believe that you will never make enough money to support yourself ever in your entire life, then you are going to take certain actions that align with that. You are going to be, there's an energy of desperation sometimes that comes with poverty. Like, well, I'm willing to do a lot of things because it's the only way that I can make money to survive. You're the you may not, let me see what else. I'm trying to think of some things. There are some opportunities that you may not be able to see, opportunities that you don't necessarily take. If there are some, if you think about, I'm trying to think like where I am. If I think about like my business, for example, it's an investment of my time and energy. And a lot of times when you're starting, you're not making money when you first start.
Right.
So you're investing with the hope that at some point in the near future, it is going to be profitable. You're going to make enough to sustain the business and also to pay you so that you are sustained in your business. You are not going to be doing something like that because it's not going to bring you money immediately, typically, because you don't have it. There's no abundance. And you just don't have the time and the energy to devote to things that are not going to bring you immediate money.
Mhm.
It has to be, you got to get paid now, and
And
that
there's a
doesn't.
real disconnect in, especially in entrepreneurial communities,
Mhm.
about people who come from poverty. Well, why don't you just do this side hustle thing? Right. Like they're not accounting for the amount of time poor people spend on public transportation, for
Right,
example.
for example.
Just the time suck, energy suck of poverty is so overwhelming
Hmm.
that thinking your way out of it becomes exceptionally, I would argue, practically impossible.
Impossible. Impossible. And I think one of the things that we've talked about before about the law of attraction is that not only is it not so realistic and accessible to people, but it also makes people, the bad guy if
Hmm.
there are things that they have not attracted, or if there's things that there's some experiences that they're having that are not in alignment with what they desire to have. It's like, well, I'm doing something wrong if I don't have it, or I'm a bad person, or something like that, which is, unfortunate. That's the flip side of it. um but yeah, like, poverty is, it's tough. It's just tough in every sense of the word. Every waking minute is spent on, how am I going to be able to survive? Where is money coming from so that I can make sure that I survive and my family survives? So there is a privilege in reading these books and having these kind of conversations, and doing this stuff, because any time devoted to this is time not spent making money.
Right. So, what do we do instead?
Mm. Again, what we do instead is that we affirm about what is true, about our worthiness, about our value, about our pricelessness, about, like, what is true, that we do live in an abundant universe. It's, I mean, we've had more millionaires and billionaires than ever before. There is money out there. So that is true. Now, It may not, good afternoon, it may not necessarily be in our bank accounts, but it's not like it's not present. So we start to affirm those things that are true. And what I know is that when you affirm and really um become clear and more present with your own personal value, if you start to see things different within yourself, like everything in your external world does change. It really does. How you treat yourself, what you devote your time and effort to, your boundaries, the conversations that you're having, um, who you're opening up your life to, like new friendships, like all those things. Like when you get your shit together up in here, then everything outside of you changes. I mean, it's like the Titanic. It might take a minute, but it's not going to necessarily be something. It's not like this forever.
Right.
It's not like this forever. I mean, we grew up broke as fuck. We grew up broke as fuck. And it's taken a long time. Like, I'm not rich by any sense of the word, but what I do know is that whatever is meant for me to have, like, I'm always straight. Even in the times when I haven't felt like, I mean, my bank, we just talked about this earlier, bank account in the negative, like with the pink mail coming to the house, like, the whole nine. And somehow or another, it was made right. Somehow or another, something came in to take care of this. Somebody took care of this for me. I would win something, or I would do something, or I have this ability to do some work, and someone's like, let me bless you. The church is giving donations, and I see that you need, those kinds of things. So I know that, like, I know my own name. It's an inherent belief in me. Like, I will always be straight.
Hmm.
And that, since I know that to be true, no matter what it looks like externally, a way is always made.
I was reflecting this morning as I tightened up my box orders.
Mm,
So, because it's Monday and my food delivery boxes come on Saturday,
okay.
the amount of money I
Mm.
spend on food in 1 month. And now I realize eggs are,
It's a premium these days.
it's all a premium
It's
these
a
days.
luxury. It's no longer.
Oh, absolutely. And the amount of money I spend on food now would shock me of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Me of 20 years ago would not be able to imagine the amount of money that I spend, because it's an investment.
Yes.
Food for me, for my family, with all of the neurodiversities in this household, food is fuel. If
Yes.
we are not all eating well, then we are just barely surviving.
Yes.
So there is an endless abundance for me
Mhm.
now for
Yeah.
this. It feels like it's about being able to envision your circumstances as possibility.
Mhm.
So let's talk about possibility with money.
Mhm.
How do I shift those beliefs?
Hmm. Again, it's really just about, like, making sure that you are looking at it fully in a perspective where it is true. Like, we do live in an abundant universe. We are priceless. We are extraordinarily valuable and unique in all of our usness, right? And by regularly having a practice where you sit in that, where you work with that, where you allow yourself to disagree, or you see where it feels like that in your body, and you're bringing it around and reframing to another side of whatever you believe to be true. So where there is a deficit, there is also a surplus. It's the law of what, the duality, I think it is,
Mhm.
like, so where yin and
An
yang,
actual
everything,
law,
an
not
actual
like the law of attraction, which is not an
It's
actual
not a
law.
law. It's not a law. It's based on two laws. It was I can't remember, but it's hermetic. So I have the what is it? The Kabbalion. So I have that over there. They talk about, like, all the laws, and it's polarity in another one. So it's
Mhm.
not, law of attraction isn't actually a law, but it's you have to, it's, so you may be on the one side of things, but there is another side of that. And so you're saying things and bringing yourself to an understanding that this exists and it is possible for you. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Hmm.
When do you remind yourself of that the most?
Especially when you're just like, this is it, this sucks, nothing is going to change. Even if you have to reach to something completely different than money. So if you're someone who's just like, life is always going to be shitty for me, and you can pull like a million experiences where it's been shitty. If you really look at some other times in your life, you're going to come up on those times when you laughed. You're going to come up on those times when there was love. You're going to come up on those times when there's joy, but you have to seek that out in your own life. You have to bring your awareness to those times because we all have them. Every moment is not a bad moment. There's been some shitty shit that's happened, of course, but there's been some quite amazing things that have also happened. So if you take a moment to say, I am really in a situation right now where I have got to turn it around. So I have to find things in my own life that demonstrate for me where this is not true. I don't have, oh my God, my life is, everything in my life is a shit show. Is that really true? I'm sure you can find something that says that this is not true. So that's your work. You find those situations where these things are not true, where you had some great times. There's been money. You've been in the positive. The mail that's coming to your house is not colored. It is white. You have times when you can actually have them automatically take money out of your account because it's, what I'm
Ooh,
saying?
you
That's the
know
sweet
you're
part, right?
flush when you're doing automatic bill
Oh
pay,
my
baby.
God, the trust to do
Right.
automatic.
And personally, while counterintuitive, I have found that assuming that the money will be there, trusting that the money will be there,
Hmm.
does in fact lead to the money being there. It's
Yeah,
fascinating how that works,
I
right?
don't know how it works either. You know what? I don't even care. Long as it
Right.
works.
I just trust that the money will be there and the money is there. It's
I've gotten to the
wild.
point where, when we're talking about poverty and going from one mindset to just like another one, when I was super broke, I will be looking in my bank account regularly simply to make sure, do I have enough in here to make this purchase? I'm standing at the side of the register and I could be praying in my mind like, please let me have this $15 in here to make this purchase. Please let me have this $30 in here to make this purchase. Please let me have this money available to do this so that they don't decline this card and I'm like hella embarrassed. Or let me make a phone call before I even leave the house, or let me get on my phone now because of course they have, at that time they didn't have apps, but they do
Do
now, so you
you
can just,
remember how much work it used to be
oh
to
my God,
investigate your money?
oh my
And
God.
truly, I believe that there is some flow here that
Hmm.
I check my money first thing in the morning. It is
Okay.
one of the first things that I do every day because
Hmm.
it's very much a part for me now. It's, oh, yay, there's money there. Let's go
Yeah.
get more. It's certainly a mindset shift. And I
Hmm.
feel like having ready access to it makes it much easier for me to cultivate that flow.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end. Mine is, even though I can just get on there and then check it if I want to, at the time when I was checking it regularly, it was because I was hoping I had enough to pay for things. Now, I don't look at it. I'll look at it when I feel like it, but the looking at it is not every day like, oh my God, let me make sure that I have $3 in here for some dino kale or some stuff like
Right,
that or
right.
whatever. But it's more so like, I'm going to put this card across the counter because I trust that whatever I'm buying is taken care of. I trust that whatever I need to pay for this purchase is in there. I don't question it. So that's my end.
And I think there's validity in multiple approaches here because it's
Hmm.
about what cultivates safety for you. It's
Exactly.
about what makes you feel secure and
Hmm.
abundant because
Hmm.
that's really what's key. When we're talking about money, if we're not also talking about it in abundance,
Hmm.
then we're blocking its flow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money as an entity.
Yes.
Money is female.
Hmm.
Money likes flow.
Hmm.
Money likes to be wooed and
Hmm.
seduced.
Hmm. There's this commercial that I love. I don't know what bank it is, but it's the one where it's like, "What's your money doing?" So the lady is like, gets her coffee and she leaves for work, and then the money is like, her house guests, and they're just fucking the house up. They got the one, a couple of dollar bills down there doing calisthenics to Jane Fonda at the TV. Someone else has turned the water on. They got a little swimming party. This other one's over here lifting weights. This one's breaking the place up. This one's over here getting beat down by the dog, and it's like your money is in your house, like doing nothing. What is your money doing for you? You need to put it in a bank account that has a certain kind of interest so your money is working for you. So I love the commercial because the money, of course, is like mischievous and it's just like really jacking her house up. So when you talk about money wanting to be seduced, I mean, it may not necessarily be find a bank account that has an amazing, interest rate so you can earn more. But what do you want your money to do for you? How do you want your money to help you to feel? And if you talk about, you mentioned earlier about safety and security, what does that feel like to you? What does that look like to you? If you feel safe and secure, what are you able to do from that foundation, a strong foundation? How confident are you going to feel? Like those are the questions.
Absolutely. And for me, counting my zeros,
Ooh.
right? That the things that I can do when I add more zeros, and that's really
Mhm.
very much what that is about for me and why I look
Mhm.
at it all the time. It's how
Mhm.
can I add more zeros to this number, baby?
I
And
want a couple of commas. I don't want
that's
just one comma in
correct.
here.
And for real, the ability to get here has been so much daily, persistent, regular work.
Mhm.
Now, we've talked a lot about how affirmations lead to action.
Mhm.
Nowhere is that more true than with money.
Mhm.
So, what am I affirming that leads to action? How am I talking about my money? And feel free to pitch the product at this point, Biba.
Right.
Like, how am I talking about the money that's going to get me to do the things that bring me more money?
Great question. So the affirmations that you use to talk about bringing you to more money are again ones that are affirming your value, or ones that are affirming your worth, ones that are affirming your capability and your capacity. Ones where it speaks about the abundance of what is around and what is available, and and also anything that's going to help you to feel more confident in yourself to go out there and get it. Um, so what I have is the dynamic affirmation system and or method, and it is. I mean, we've been talking about this for like it's like the third or fourth podcast
This is
we've
the
done.
third episode
This is
now.
the
There's
third
lots of
episode.
details about this, but
Absolutely.
this one's really important when it comes to money.
Money. Exactly. So what the system is that you are centering yourself. You are saying affirmations in a particular way. And now last week when we talked about it, we're talking about affirmations that really speak to you, like this part of you that I am affirmations, which are the traditional affirmations, don't necessarily access. So if you're speaking about your capacity and your capability, if you say I'm capable of bringing in a multi-million dollar contract. If there's any part of you that doesn't believe that, then you're going to come away from that experience feeling a certain way, not fully believing it, feeling worse than when you started, which ultimately leads you to not getting this multi-million dollar contract. However, if you say instead that you are capable of bringing in a multi-million dollar contract, you are capable of bringing in a multi you absolutely are. No matter where you are, no matter what your station, it is possible. So you're affirming the possibilities. The third step is around noticing. And the important part about noticing is because it helps you to get more connected to you. All affirmations are not created equal. All affirmations, you are, I am, or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to rock for you or work for you. So it's your responsibility to take notice of what you're feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? What's the intensity of it? Does it feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Because there's information there for you to go a little bit deeper, to get more connected with yourself, to learn a little bit more about yourself, to release, to heal, all those things. And so the third step is really about helping you to connect with yourself so that you can be better at discerning what's good for you. Not what I'm telling you is good for you, what is actually good for you. And the last step, I do energy healing practitioner work. And the last step is just some energy healing, just to settle it all in, to like seal it so that it really sits in your spirit in a different way and that you can be anchored in whatever the affirmations are stating. So I have this system or this method for a series of different types of affirmations. So we're talking about money today. The last time we talked about personal power and confidence. The time before that, I think we talked about self love and beauty. And then there's in your work and your career life. And the last one is health and wellness. So
Yeah,
all of
that's the
these.
one we did. We did health and wellness week 1.
Okay, so health and wellness week one. So self love is still left, and then also work life. So those are the last two. But each of these are different affirmational sets, but the method is the same. So the affirmations is just one step of the full method.
And here with money in particular, also for personal power, it's really important that you appreciate that the affirmation leads to action. And
Mm-hmm.
if that action isn't happening, there's a misalignment.
Mm.
How do we diagnose misalignments between what we're saying and what we're doing when we're not doing anything?
Hmm. We diagnose the misalignment by really paying attention to ourselves. We pay attention to the thoughts that come up. We pay attention to what it feels like in our body. We pay attention to how it feels. It's just another way of listening more deeply to ourselves. And that comes with practice, and it comes with connecting with yourself regularly. Um, it is not the easiest, but again, when you start to practice on a on a regular basis, it gets to the point where you're like, I know, like I know, like I know. Um, I'm trying to think of an example because there's so many. It's like we could be talking about this all day. Um, One of my friends was telling me about some new, like a spiritual system or some spiritual person that they follow, and they shared it with me, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. So we were having this conversation about it, and then they sent this particular video about this person, and they had been to Mexico, and they found a particular religious system, and there was a saint or a deity that they had bought a book about, and it was like it was the whole thing. And they were talking about like this is like real and authentic, and they give you so much information if this is the practice, so it's not like a bunch of gatekeeping and like misaligned people like giving false information. It's just you can access this and you can practice this stuff or whatever. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. And I was like, you know what, maybe next time when I go down there, I'll see if I can find out where this is and maybe get this book. And then I felt this pain shoot up the right side of my neck, and I was and I noticed, like, I was fine before. I noticed when this happened, I found it very interesting that it was fine. It's been fine. I've never had this situation until I'm looking at this video. And what I had just said to myself was, I might want to learn a little bit more about this. I would like to possibly explore and see what kinds of things I can get into down there. And then that pain shot up the side of my neck, and I'm like, you know what?
Never mind.
Let me go ahead and stay in my own lane. Let me mind my damn business. So those are kinds of things that you start to get to the point where it's not quite coincidental. It's like your body is a compass. Like your body, our
Mm.
bodies are so amazing. Like, we don't even know the half of what our bodies can do. There are things that our bodies can do that nobody has ever done. Like, it's an amazing vehicle that we have to walk around. Our meat suit is full of all kinds of tech and everything to for us to even be able to function the way that we do. So yes, there are aches and pains and other things, but it communicates with us as well, and it communicates through the sensations. It communicates through our thoughts. It communicates in so many ways based upon patterns. It like where things are felt, the side that things are felt on, the intensity that we're feeling, the time that we're feeling. So all of that is it's us. That's us. And when we're connected to ourselves, we're able to say, when that happened, that's a sign I need to stay on my
Hmm.
own damn lane. That's a sign I shouldn't be fucking with that person. Like when you meet somebody who's a little like janky and you're like, I don't know them, but there is something about them that feels really off to me. They've only said hi, shook your hand, been nothing but polite, but then there was something that you felt that was off. Like that's you. That's you connecting with yourself. That's you trusting and giving you cues about guidance. It's you guiding you. So that's how
And
you.
I think when it comes to money, especially work related, for me,
Mhm.
there's a lot of, when I'm not doing the right thing, there's a lot of anxiety about it.
Yeah.
Like, there is that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach about
Mm.
how I should be doing something else.
Yeah.
And when you are neurodivergent, anxiety is your best friend. Just it hangs out right there with you. Everything makes you anxious all of the
Yeah.
time. And
Mm.
there's a lot of work in learning how to interpret those signals and be
Mhm.
able to address the root sources of them.
Mhm.
One of the things, my business this year has shifted. So I'm doing podcasts now and creating
Mhm.
content and producing a whole lot less of the deliverables,
Mm.
which makes me very nervous.
Yeah, of course.
There are, especially in entrepreneurial communities, I feel like there's a lot of judgment around content
Mhm.
as the career and not just as the marketing vehicle,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
If you're writing, that's great. Well, what are you selling after that?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Just the
Right.
writing.
Just the
Just
just the writing.
just the
Just the
writing.
writing.
That's
Yeah.
correct. And this year, as I have really started to go for that, the more I have, obviously still some deliverable work left to complete and
Mhm.
some that I require still to pay my bills and things while I'm
Okay.
getting the
Sure.
content side rolling.
Mhm.
And the more I listen to my body, the more I'm like, oh, I'm really not supposed to be doing this.
Yes. Yes.
Your body will tell you. Your
It will.
body will tell you when you are doing things that you are not supposed to be doing, that are not in alignment with the values that you
Mhm.
have already established. And we
Mhm.
talked about that one, especially in the first episode.
Mhm.
Go back and listen. Establishing your values is a requirement for creating affirmations that work.
Yeah.
Because if I don't fundamentally believe them, I won't do the work. Here, we've established the value, we've created the affirmation, and
Mhm.
now the affirmation has to line up with the action.
That's right.
If I am telling myself that you are capable of making $1 million off of your words
Mm.
alone, and not following through by putting the words out,
Y-
I feel that in my body.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what this is at, where this is at. So, when we talk about making adjustments,
Mhm.
what is more important here? That we adjust the action or that we adjust the affirmation?
I think what's important, what's most important, is that we adjust the affirmation, because I mean, we're doing things. We're already doing things. We're off over here in the sunset, over to the left, when everything in us, our body is like, roll it to the right, to the, the right. But the connection again, like we ignore, or we just think that we know everything because we think that we do.
We think that we
Um,
know everything.
we think that we know everything, and no matter how versed and how knowledgeable we are, there is so much more to learn about life in general. Like if you're living, you still, we could be learning new shit every day until we're no longer here. So, but the affirmation is more important than the action, because it's just simply, again, like, what kind of action are you taking? The affirmation really does help you to, again, direct your action. It helps you to direct your focus as well. So it really is about opening you up to new. When you think about how life is in general, like, we get to a certain point and we're like, this is our comfort zone. We really don't want to roll up out of here. But in order for us to achieve our dreams, our goals, and all this other stuff, that we say that we want, our legacy, destiny, all of that amazing stuff is outside of the comfort zone. So your actions are only going to align right now with where you feel comfortable, but it's limited.
Yes.
It's limited. So when you're saying your affirmations and you're reframing and working through whatever is keeping you feeling like this is the place that you have to remain because it's not safe out there on those streets, then your actions are going to align with that. So you're not going to be able to really go beyond like this limiting place where you find yourself. So get your mind, it's up here. You get your mind right. It's like Young Jeezy has a song about it. Like, get your mind right.
Get your mind right and the rest will follow. And
Exactly.
this is, I mean, this is especially key when we are talking about the difference between $5 and $10, right?
Mhm.
You know, the difference between $10 and $50 is irrelevant when there are zeros in the bank account.
Oh yeah.
The difference between $5 and $10 can break you when there are not.
Mhm.
And if you are coming from a place where the money is not enough,
Mhm.
telling yourself that it is all of the sudden just going to be there for you can be a lot of work. I
Mhm.
feel like, and I know this is true for most people, but the steps that I take now in terms of my money beliefs and shifting those things
Mhm.
are magnitudes larger
Mhm.
and so much easier
Mhm.
than they were when they were little tiny steps of believing that the money would be there.
Mhm.
So I think a large portion of my audience, because they are neurodivergent,
Mhm.
spends a lot of time in lack,
Okay.
believing that there won't be enough money there.
Mhm.
How do we start pushing this boulder up the hill?
Hmm. Another great question. If you are in lack and you don't believe that the money is going to be there, and we're talking about, again, affirmations and making sure that you're saying ones that are actually true. Right now, it could be a light season, but every season has not been a light season. So I would start with reminding yourself of those seasons when it wasn't a light season. And even if it's, we're not talking about the seasons when you had like thousands in the bank versus when you were in the negative. It could simply be that you had $100 in the bank and what you really needed was 70.
I think for me, the moment that really shifted this
Mm-hmm.
was when I started to think about the abundance of having paid all of the bills
Yes.
with a few dollars left over.
Yes. We're not
right?
talking about
We're not talking about the moon here, y'all.
right.
We're talking about a few dollars left over
Mhm.
after we have taken care of all of our needs.
Yes. Yes.
It's that small of a shift.
Yes. Yes. Really that simple. Finish paying your bills and you had $5 left in your bank account. And you're
And
like,
that's a victory.
a win is a win, people.
Hmm.
A win is a win. It's a win.
And I feel like there is, it's really interesting to me. And I've been in this business for so long
Hmm.
and behind the scenes for so long,
Hmm.
right? My awareness of the people who are just barely scraping by
Hmm.
while they are saying other things on social media is high.
Wow.
High. So this is not fake it till you make it.
No.
Let's talk about the difference. What's the difference between believing that there is more to come
Hmm.
and believing that I have to present a persona in order to get there?
Mm. When you are faking it, you cannot lie to yourself. You
Your
cannot
body
lie. Your
knows.
body knows. You know you're lying. And then just as in poker, you have tells. You have tells. You may not be able to recognize your tells, but your tells are out there. So when I talked about earlier where, you meet someone and their energy is a little janky, if you're lying, then that could be one of your tells that there's something in your energy that's just not lining up. And my energy recognizes that there is something in your energy that's not lining up. I am now the kind of person that when I feel that coming from you, I'm going to edge stage left. I'm going someplace else. There are other people who may not necessarily recognize that as, you know, that there's some sort of disconnect in this. You're not their people or whatever. But, you lying in that way and being dishonest is doing yourself a disservice, and people can tell you don't feel confident when you're not being truthful, and when you're not being truthful and you're not being confident, people can read that. They can read that in how you hold yourself. They can read that in the way that you're speaking. They can read that in your body language. It's in your energy. You cannot lie like you think you can. You can't lie. You might have a lot of practice, but there is something that we know. And so when you are faking it, how do you feel? When you're faking it, just the way that you feel alone should tell you that that's not the move. When I know, and if there's a situation, and when we're talking about like my own personal journey with my self-esteem, when it was in the trash can and I'm trying to act like I'm, beautiful and amazing and confident, even though I didn't feel that way, I felt horrible. I felt horrible faking it because I wanted it to be real. I didn't understand that, when you are confident, like genuinely feeling confident about yourself, it is different than what you think it looks and feels like. It's not the same. Like, if I, at the time when I was pretending like I was confident, I acted as if everything that I said and did was correct, and I would fight tooth and nail when someone would criticize me, when someone would question me, or in those kinds of things. Someone who is confident recognizes I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And so if someone is coming is like, Biba, you said this and that's not quite true. As a confident person, I'm like, thank you for pulling my collar about this. Thank you for providing me this information. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Thank you for this feedback. That doesn't take anything away from who I am. But at the time, oh, I was going for blood. You're not going to tell me I'm wrong. You're not going to tell me that's not true.
Right. And so if your body knows the difference
Hmm.
between faking it and leading yourself to the next level of intention,
Mm.
then your intentions have to be, y'all, this is key, attainable.
Mm.
I know it's terrible. It's terrible. But your body is not going to believe an affirmation that it can't trust.
Mm-hmm.
So your body has to see the potential of this belief.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really, when we get right back down to it, it's that safety piece again.
Mm-hmm.
I have to trust that my future intentions aren't going to harm me in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. How am I building in that trust component?
Ooh. Trust is a hard one.
Mhm.
Trust is a very hard one. Trust requires so much. Um, Trust requires a lot of forgiveness. Um, and forgiveness in and of itself is a concept that is very hard for a lot of people. When you are doing the best that you can do and you've made mistakes and you've put yourself in situations that were questionable, or you dated that asshole, that broke your heart when everything pointed to like he was an asshole. He wasn't going to be any different to you than he was
Hell,
to
you
other
missed
people.
the deadline, and now it's all over, and you'll never meet another deadline ever again.
Exactly. Those kinds of things. Like you make a mistake, you said something wrong, you hurt someone's feelings. Like those situations, it's very easy to compound those things and say, these are the reasons why I can't trust you with you. I can't trust you with you because look at this. I mean, we got a whole storage facility of the
Oh,
things,
right. Of
literally.
regret and things that we didn't do right, things that we didn't finish. Right.
Yes, deadlines we didn't meet, promises we didn't keep, commitments we just we messed up. Like we've got a storage unit, a huge storage unit full of these things. We may not remember them, but it's all there. It's always all there. And so if you are not trusting yourself, if you're not recognizing that you are a human being, that you did the best that you could throughout the entire time, if you could have done something differently at that time, you would have. Um, but those experiences have made you who you are. You've learned lessons from those things, and going back and changing them would mean that you're not going to be the person that you are right now. The forgiveness that you have to have for yourself will help you to trust yourself, will help you to recognize your imperfections, will help you to recognize that you're a human being, and again that you did the best that you could. So that really is the start. Like that's part of the work. And I mean, it sounds so lofty and huge, but any little thing that you do, any little experience that you're just like, I fucked up, I apologize for that, just that alone is moving the needle towards the recognition that you did the best that you could, you're a human being. And even in those experiences that ended up with some huge consequence or some punishment or some other thing, was like, I mean, what can you do about that now? It's stuff that you got to let go.
And you don't, let's be clear here, have to apologize to someone else.
No.
You
Oh,
have to apologize to yourself
yes.
for breaking your own trust.
Mm-hmm. For
And
not listening.
that one's a big lesson, y'all. And I think the more that we lean into forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
and unshaming ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
the the better this work becomes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my friend. Do we have a pretty link yet?
We do.
Ha! Yeah! What is it?
It's dynamicaffirmations.com.
Fuck yes. I am so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
dynamicaffirmations.com.
That's it.
I've thrown it in the chat.
Oh,
Look at that, y'all. We have a pretty link. go and buy these affirmations because I'm
Damn it.
serious. This is the work. This is,
Mhm.
and I cannot emphasize more how forgiveness and being kind to yourself
Mhm.
will lead you home.
Yes, I love
Whatever
it.
home looks like, whatever that means to
Mhm.
you, it does not have to be this capitalistic shit show we are currently occupying.
Oh my God, no.
And you have to forgive yourself for not being able to fix all that,
Yeah,
for not being able to save the world, for not being able to do all of the things.
right. You are not Bruce Willis, and this is not the Nagasaki Tower. You're not going to be able. You just
Nakatomi. It's the Nakatomi Tower.
Nakatomi Tower. Sorry. Yeah, not going to be able to. Not going to be able to
You're
fix it.
not going to be. Now, if you want to put some cigarettes and a pair of shoes in your air vent on Christmas Eve, just in case, like, that's absolutely a valid choice. But
Mhm.
otherwise, it's not on you to
Mhm.
save the tower and rescue the princess and do all of the things.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. And the more you narrow your focus down to the
Mhm.
things that you truly do have control over and impact over, the greater
Mhm.
your impact becomes.
Mhm.
And that, y'all, that's what we're here for. We're here to
Mhm.
help you increase your own impact.
Mhm.
And if you would like to find out how we are doing that, you should subscribe to the Neurodiversity Media Network. That one, still not pretty. It's Neurodiversity Media Network .substack.com because I still haven't figured out the fucking C name record. It's
Oh,
really it's terrible.
you know.
Like this week it should be fixed, but it's not yet.
Yeah. No, I had that same problem, and I was like, somebody's got to help me with this because Briar needs a pretty link, or she's going to cut me,
Right. I
and I'm
mean,
scared for my life.
it's not. Listen, I love being able to help you be accountable.
I mean, yeah,
See?
you're great at it.
This is how it all works. It all goes round. We all do the thing. Y'all, this has been amazing. What are we talking
Yeah.
about 2 weeks from now, Biba?
2 weeks from now, we are talking about, is it the self love? Yeah, self love and
Self love.
beauty.
And we'll
Yes,
finish us out with work 2 weeks after that.
that's
This
right.
series has been a delight. And if you haven't seen it all, I do deeply encourage you to go back and catch the first 2 episodes.
Hmm.
I encourage you to go and check these affirmations out. If this is a place where you struggle, please let Biba help you. Please let Biba help you. She has this astonishing method and she will walk you through it. And it's going to feel like coming home. And that's what we want
Hmm.
for you. All right, y'all. We will see you again next time.